Hey everybody, it's Big Jonas. It is Tuesday and we're going to talk some crypto. We're going to start with Bitcoin here. Got the daily chart up, basically showing this great bull run we are on currently, starting back on April 12th with that amazing green candle and this slow churn, but steady churn upward to where we are now at 93.50. We can see that we've broken through a lot of these moving average indicators, and basically we've broken through our last one here, which is the 100-day, and looking at some blue skies ahead. But we have a lot of points of resistance that we're going to start to slowly get into over the next day or so, and kind of see how the price action is going to respond to that. We have a lot of history basically in the 9,000s area. We have been bouncing around here. I don't really want to talk about 10,000 yet because there's still a lot of hurdles to basically go through, and personally, I'm waiting to see how we can kind of consolidate some of this bullish price action momentum. Now, on the daily chart, I want to look at the RSI, which has been basically moving pretty high but steady over the past couple weeks here. We see we're not yet in that overbought area, which is mostly described as an over 70. We're right at 67 there. So, there definitely could be some room to run. We have seen other times in history where Bitcoin has been able to be above 70 and maintain that while the price action continues. So be curious to see if we are able to reach that 70, if we find some resistance there. Stock RSI has pretty much been topped off since this ran has begun. Kind of gives me a little perspective on the stock RSI, where I now see that we can basically maintain this overbought zone for quite a while here, as long as the RSI itself has some running room. OBV has basically been moving up steady, nothing crazy, but definitely slow and steady wins the race. Kind of zoom into the 4-hour here and get kind of a little sense here. Now the 4-hour RSI has definitely been kind of in this overbought area for a little bit. When it's dipped down below, has allowed Bitcoin to consolidate in price, and now we're back above. Stock RSI is also topped out again, and we'll just zoom in one more time for the 1-hour here and kind of see a similar circumstance where we've reset on the stock RSI, but our actual RSI is still a little toppy there. Seem to be hitting a lot of resistance here in this 9300 area here. We did have a little consolidation candle there, actually bearish engulfing of this hour here, with this big red one here basically fully engulfs the body of the previous hour's candle. So I had this nice little drop here, but nice little hammer kind of kicked back in and pushed higher here, and right now we're kind of putting kind of a top right there. We'll see how this hour plays out over the next 54 minutes or so. So, again, still bullish momentum on Bitcoin. Personally, I'm waiting to see some more consolidation here. Just looking at this whole run here, I mean, this has been just very epic. We basically have not had a chance to touch the 200-day all the way up. We're basically holding these higher ranges. This is just a very impressive run. The volume's been consistent, but not super crazy. I'd like to see more money flow, new money flow, obviously, into the space to kind of keep this rally afloat and see kind of how far it can go. So let's take a look at a few more here. Ethereum back over 700, just an amazing move here. The 1 hour, same deal. We basically saw kind of a shooting star here, kind of a big wick there. So I'm not entirely convinced out of that as a super bearish indicator there. We basically continue to kind of hold this almost bull pennant consolidation pattern here. Almost looks like it wants to move higher here. Ethereum was kind of leading the way when this whole thing got started a few weeks ago here, and was kind of surging through. Volume is very nice here, a lot of buy volume there as well. Kind of zoom out here and see how the 4-hour RSI has been very toppy for a while, and yet the price still remains to run. OBV is definitely strong as well, and we'll zoom out to the daily and get a sense here. Now here's an example where our RSI is now reaching that overbought area here. Now we've seen other circumstances where it can remain in this overbought zone for some time and still see upward bullish momentum. We are resetting here and we continue higher there. So wouldn't be surprised if we're able to maintain this kind of overbought zone here while we try to find a new leg here. Stock RSI has been topped off for quite a while here, but the RSI was not, so that's basically allowed the run to continue while the stock RSI was in that overbought zone, and the OBV is definitely maintaining some strength there as well. So we'll see how that one runs. Litecoin. Now this is kind of interesting here. Get rid of that. We have situation here where we've been running pretty hard, but consistent. You know, the Litecoin move has not been as bullish as the Bitcoin and Ethereum moves, and definitely not as bullish as the Bitcoin Cash moves have. We're basically seeing that there is still running room in the RSI. This has always been a factor basically to determine on the daily, especially, you know, how much oomph, how much more room, you know, these things definitely have to run. So we've seen Bitcoin getting close to this top off area. We've seen Ethereum break it already, and we see Litecoin here hitting a little resistance right here, which is similar to where we hit that RSI resistance back on February 20th, which actually just kind of happened to coincide with where we topped off there at about 236 as well. So I'll be very curious to see if we can kind of break out of this pattern here where we've been kind of locked in right here at about 63 on the RSI. This definitely has room to run. We've seen where it can be overbought on the RSI and still have bullish momentum. So we'll see if we can basically keep pushing higher on that. The stock is kind of still topped off there, but looks like it's trying to reset bullishly as the blue has crossed the red there bullishly. And, you know, the OBV is basically maintained its strength all the way throughout. Looks like there's a lot of people that just want to continue to hold Litecoin and, you know, are probably adding on the dips as well. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Let's take a look here. Let's see here. What else do we have? Bitcoin Cash is... There we go. Bitcoin Cash. Now, this has been kind of the monster of them all. Just a tremendous run from the 600s here, basically topping off this morning at 1573 area. It's a very impressive run. And the first thing that jumps out to me is where the RSI is. I mean, this is crazy, crazy off the charts right here. You know, that's a circumstance where I would never want to take a position in something that has an RSI on the daily chart, especially that's that topped off. I'd much rather wait till I could come down here to this lower area. Might be a better entry to take heed of. You know, stock RSI has been topped off for a while, and the OBV is just skyrocketed. So people are loving this one. They want to hold it. However, a couple ominous signs there. Definitely have our first nasty long wick being put on today's daily price action. It's going to be a very interesting way this closes here, because if it can kind of battle back up through this wick here, that would still show a lot of bullish tendencies are left. But if we are unable to and put in this long wick, even if we close red, that's going to be a very ominous sign to see if this consolidation of this huge run here will begin to start happening here. Remember, this shot up so fast here that there's not a lot of support under here except just the buy volume and people basically wanting to hold this one long. So be very curious to see as we consolidate, and we will always consolidate, you know, how hard, how strong we can basically hold all these gains we've experienced for the past couple of weeks. This one is one I'm really kind of watching in terms of basically kind of a primer of things to come, because it's been the most bullish of the big ones, because basically it's had this epic run here, kind of overshooting a lot of these bullish indicators. This could be the first one to basically show that pullback and consolidation, and I wouldn't be surprised if the others follow suit. Let's take a look at some alts. We're going to start with ADA, ADA, or Cardano. You know, this has been on a nice move as well. We see basically on the daily chart, and I always like to start on the daily chart for a nice wide perspective, that we were kind of topped off on the RSI there. We have dipped under that overbought area, and that's what's basically allowing this green candle today to form. Kind of allowing this little consolidation sideways pattern to see if we can push in another leg here. Stock RSI is trying to reset as well, and the OBV definitely remains strong. Let's zoom in a little bit to the 4 hour. get a sense here. So we basically been holding over 3,000 Satoshi here for several days now. And, this is definitely an area I'd like to see hold. A lot of good consolidation here. Got a little too heated here when we hit 3,400 there. So I like to see this longer consolidation here. The more time we can spend in this area here of the 3,000 to 3,500, the stronger base of support we can build and another chance to move higher. One more thing about Cardano, this is one of the top 10 coins in terms of market cap. Also has a very large, let's just say, coin allotment out there, 25 billion or so. So you got to keep in mind basically about valuation, that even the price is low as it is, there's a lot of coin out there. So you have to keep that in perspective, and the market cap definitely in perspective. Let's take a look at a couple more here. Let's see here. Let's look at Nano. I know this is one of interest here. All right, this has been, let's start with the daily chart here. Now, here's an example basically of a coin that is consolidating as we keep moving up here. I actually like this action here. We kind of got stopped there on the 50-day EMA on the daily. Definitely found a lot of resistance kind of right there. So this is still in this bullish upward momentum pattern. I'd like to see this kind of continuation hold here. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe retest this trend line here, somewhere around here, maybe the 8,000 range, just to kind of keep this support growing. But as long as we keep moving up here, this chart is definitely bullish and still in play. The RSI shows definitely room to run as well, and the OBV is really not that impressive yet, so keep an eye on that. Go to the 4-hour here, and we see that we're trying to reset on the stock RSI. The RSI definitely shows more room to run and still shows this bullish upward momentum pattern. So a little more sideways action would definitely allow this to keep moving forward. A couple more here. Let's look at TRX. This is one that has definitely a big cult following. I put a tweet out, I believe yesterday, about a bullish flag that I felt it was putting in, and sure enough we broke it with conviction and shot up to over 700 Satoshi. This has been basically a nice upward momentum stock here, coin here, excuse me, as we're basically holding this line here, this trend line here consistently here to here to here and moving up slowly. Now, I would like to see another test of this line here that would show me a little more conviction of this definite move here. We basically have back-to-back nice green candle days there, so the more we are able to consolidate, the bigger the next push can go. We do have the RSI now kind of getting a little toppy here on the price action. We've seen back in March where we overshot it a couple times and it got rejected, pushed through, got rejected again, and now we're back up here too. So we've seen times in history when we've broken the RSI on the daily in terms of being overbought and got rejected. We'll see if this happens again this time. Rejections, though, have allowed a consolidation time and the chance to move up as we see here. OBV also basically is staying pretty strong as well. Let's look at a few more here. We got Verge. This one had its big news and then had a big sell-off. We're trying to see some consolidation here. The daily shows the RSI has definitely cooled down a lot. So has the stock RSY as well, and so has the OBV, as people are kind of dumping this one still. Really trying to find some support here. Looks like right here actually is interesting, 730 area. We see some history in there back from February, where that basically acted as a support and then as a resistance line and fell through. So I'd really like to hold this 737, 730 area to basically try and see if we can kind of turn up again. Otherwise, the 100-day is right here at 673, and I don't want to go down here yet, but let's hopefully we can try and hold this area here. Be nice to see that possibly for a turnaround here, but this was potentially a buy the rumor, sell the news situation here. It's pretty nasty volume red candle here that basically shows that people were kind of riding this wave and then dumped it very hard. So this one still kind of has to pick itself off the floor and try and find some more stability. And as I said, I'd like to see it hold in this area if it can. ZRX, this one has been just a great continuation pattern here. You know, I remember a couple times in this one where we've had some very long wicks right here and right here, and both times we gave it all back. However, the trend kept on flowing higher and higher, and it has allowed this continuation here, now over 12,000 Satoshi. It's a very impressive move there, definitely a very bullish move there. On the daily, we're showing the RSI is now breaching that overbought area. We've seen that happen before where it can ride this area for some time. Stock RSI has reset, and the OBV is very strong here. This is an example of people that are buying and holding this coin here. So this is still remains very bullish, but I'd like to see how it reacts with the RSI being in this area here. You know, the more we're able to consolidate some sideways price action, the better the next move, you know, could potentially be. Let's take a look at Ripple here, XRP, and get a sense kind of where we could be going here. The daily chart basically shows that we did top off on the RSI there, and we basically came back below. That's a pure example here of being too high, too hot, too fast. Definitely been able to consolidate here. Look like the stock is resetting as well. And we kind of see this, you know, potentially rising wedge pattern here. It's a little ominous. You know, we had these three just great candles here. Long wick though basically set this candle in here, this red day candle in here. Let's go in the 4 hour, take a closer look here. You know, nice continuation here. We're riding the 21-day EMA on the 4 hour, it seems, using that as support all the way through. It does look like it could be setting up for another push higher. This isn't the worst looking thing here. The volume is kind of consistent but slowing slightly, so it definitely could have some more Momo on it as well. The 4 hour is not overbought, which is good. Compared to a lot of other coins that definitely are much more overbought. We have a stock reset on the 1 hour, which is good. RSI is stable, and you see how the OBV remains strong as well. So this is definitely one that people, you know, are kind of continuing to hold on to and see if it can go a lot higher. So, you know, we're going to keep an eye on Bitcoin, you know, through the rest of the day here, see if it can basically continue to find some more higher ground here. I'd like to see some consolidation at some point, some pullback at some point. A lot of debate about, are we in the fifth wave? Are we starting a new wave series here? Is this just an extended fifth wave here? That's going to bring us into the 9,500 area, perhaps. You know, these are definitely possibilities here. This has been just bullish, as you know, at least I've never seen it this bullish since, you know, our downtrend here. So this is very impressive move here, but we're starting to get a little extended, as I said, as the RSI, you know, especially in the 4 hour here. You know, these are toppy areas here. I'd like to see some consolidations. We can move higher. You know, we've seen the rug pulled out from under us numerous times when Bitcoin, the more people get that kind of bullishness, that kind of irrational exuberance, the more people are saying we're going to moon soon, the bottom is in, the more kind of you know, questionable I feel like that sentiment becomes. You know, the more bearish people are, that seems to tend like a time to buy. The more bullish, overly bullish people are, that's when you kind of can get caught with some kind of you know, wreck situation here where you're overextended and then the market turns on a dime. Real quickly here, I'll just look at some longs and shorts. Now, I've always found this kind of interesting that Bitcoin longs, even with this amazing price action we've been seeing in Bitcoin, I'm not seeing a tremendous amount of conviction in that. Basically, people pulling out long contracts and assuming the price is going to continue to go higher. You know, it definitely is an uptrend, but personally I would have thought we would have seen a little more conviction in this price here, maybe a little more long contracts because of how well the price action has done. Bitcoin short, definitely kind of interesting experience here where we had that massive short squeeze which brought this all the way down here. We have been riding this basically interesting channel here, back and forth, back and forth. We did break it on just the wick and we're able to kind of come back up. So this channel here is definitely still in play and could be the bottom of this channel here. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if you start to see shorts starting to eventually begin to get a little more confidence in themselves and start to load up a little bit. You may be seeing a little turnaround here in the shorts as basically the price of Bitcoin at 93 50, maybe kind of topping off, or at least getting close to a topping off area. But let's face it, shorts still have a bloody nose from this epic squeeze here, so I'm not entirely surprised that there's a decent amount of hesitation happening right there. So we'll keep an eye on everything. Thank you for listening. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Big Chonis, and of course my main man Big Cheds as well. And we'll talk to you soon.